Hello, everybody. So I am Linda Giardinella. For those of you that don't know me, I am the founder and president of New York Institute of Beauty. We are an aesthetic school out here in Suffolk County. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're really, really excited to be able to offer this webinar. Digital marketing as a school, teaching technical skills. We kind of got that down. But even though we do have business that's part of the curriculum, teaching and making our industry aware of the importance of digital marketing is really imperative for the success of spas, med spas, salons, basically our entire beauty industry. So, we kind of talked about it at our staff, and we said, let's do this. Let's offer this for our students, for our grads, and for our industry so that they can become as successful as they can possibly become. So today, the way we're going to run the presentation, basically the breakdown is going to be, I'm going to introduce two industry experts. That's our panelists. Then we're going to go ahead and do our presentation. And then at the end, if you guys could just hold all of your questions to the end, but by all means, chat, put your questions into the chat, and then we'll just address the most popular questions at the end. And if we're not able to answer all of the questions, we are going to try to just reach out to everybody individually so that this way, if we didn't get to what your question was, we can at least answer it for you. So getting right to it, our first industry expert, Miss Angelica Matseyev, where some of you do know her, but for those of you that do not, she is currently the Chief Operating Officer at Carnes & Canoe, and they are a management company that oversees Fox & Jane Salons, Little Lion Salon, and Skin Habit. They are all across the country. So she's managing a lot of different locations. Then we have Miss Audrey Neff, and she is the marketing director for Crystal Clear Digital Marketing. And now they've merged with Patient Now. And I'll let her tell you all about that. But first, let's start out with Angelica. Angelica, let us know of what this experience has been like for you, being the Chief Operating Officer for all these different salons and spas across the country.
Thanks, Linda. First of all, it's good to be back, my NYIBers. Thanks for having me. For those of you that don't know, I do have a long-standing background with the NYIB. First of all, I was there gracing the hallways as a former director for NYIB, and I kind of Goldilocks my way across the industry and somehow ended up in a COO position. Running a couple of brands nationally and internationally, which has been a lot of fun, but took a lot of mentorship from the best out of NYIB. One of the things that I wanted to say is, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this conversation. I think this is a conversation that is super important, especially right now where everyone, for those of you who popped in early, realize that we were talking about how important it is to be agile and how important it is for you to be on your toes at every moment of your career within our very powerful industry. And I think one of the things that's so special about what Linda and the team at NYIB do is planting the seeds for these conversations, because I think we all know that getting through school is the tactical, right? That is the muscle memory of, can I do the job? And then these conversations are really about how I do the job and how I'm successful within doing this. I can tell you from my standpoint, Linda, and we're working with about 130 technicians and operators on a daily basis. For us, marketing and marketing diversification is the most important thing that we go through in coachings within our communities. If you can't market, if you can't hold on to your fishes, if you can't catch your fishes, you're going to have a problem growing within the industry. So thanks so much for including me in this conversation. And I really am here in every support of a community that I hold in very high regard and high esteem, and would love to be a continued part of these mentoring conversations about the actuality, the business part of why we do what we do.
Thanks so much, Angelica. And, it's always a pleasure to have you and have you a part of this. So that brings us next to our industry expert, Audrey Neff. She is the marketing director of Crystal Clear Digital Marketing and now Patient Now. I said that again. And, just let us know a little bit about yourself, what you do, and kind of what we can expect in this presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Linda. Thank you to NYIB for having me. Thank you, Angelica. I think everything you just talked about is so spot on. So to kind of go back to what Linda said, my name is Audrey Neff. I'm the marketing director for Crystal Clear and Patient Now. Crystal Clear and Patient Now, we have recently merged. We work with over 1,500 aesthetic practices nationwide, the majority of which are medical spas and aesthetic clinics. And we provide a fully integrated solution on the digital marketing side and on the software side to essentially launch, grow, and scale the modern aesthetic practice and medical spa as well. So I also do a lot of speaking in the industry. I am very passionate about sales. I'm very passionate about marketing. I'm very passionate about everything that we're going to kind of be digging deep into today. And I want to kind of preface what I'm going to be talking about today with this. So sales and marketing, and I know Angelica already touched on this, it is so critical to the success of whatever type of business or practice you maybe go into working in upon graduation, or maybe you're already working in a practice, or maybe you're going to open up a practice, whether it's a salon, whether it's a day spa, whether it's a medical spa, or any other type of elective medical practice. I want to say something we need to kind of get a good grip on is that sales and marketing is going to be the lifeblood of any successful practice or any successful spa, because in this industry, it is a very commoditized market. There are a lot of options for consumers. They don't have to go to you because maybe they're sick and they need a prescription of some sorts. They're choosing to go to you and spend their own disposable income, which a lot of the time, can be several hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per visit, depending on, the type of practice that you have. So we're going to jump in right here now. So quick state of the industry. I like to start out all of my presentations I give with a little bit of data just to kind of give a background on the industry we're looking into. So this is specifically the medical spa industry in the United States. This data was taken from the most recent American Medical Spa Association State of the Industry report. So right now we have, or back in 2019, I should say, almost 5,500 total med spas in the US. This number is expected to double by 10,000 by 2023. 91% of practice owners projected year-over-year increased revenue back in 2019, and 62% projected increased revenue greater than 10%. And then I do know that we kind of, as an industry, we hit the 2020 roadblock, I guess I want to say. We definitely experienced a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, things that we kind of never thought that the industry was going to experience. But I think something very promising and encouraging that the 2020 year taught us as an industry is that we are certainly a recession-proof industry. People, and we're seeing this with trends in demographics and consumer buying behavior. We'll kind of talk about that as well. People are still interested in getting elective treatments, in aesthetic treatments, in treatments that are essentially retail. There's a retail component, which is why sales and marketing is so critical. So in 2019, global medical aesthetic market totaled a little over 12 billion. Through 2024, industry will expand by 5% to 16 billion. One segment of the industry that actually did grow in 2020, which is no shock to me at all, was actually physician dispensed topicals, so medical grade skincare. So what does the future of medical aesthetics look like? In 2021, we have expanding market segments. This includes millennials. Millennials are the largest and fastest growing consumer group in the US. They will most definitely fuel the future and the future growth of any modern day spa, medical spa, aesthetic clinic. We have broader acceptance and awareness. This stuff more so pertains to the medical aesthetic treatment. So maybe it's Botox or filler or, chemical peels, things like that on the face, people are much more willing to talk about their experiences now. Years ago, if people got filler or Botox, people were very hush hush about it. They didn't want anyone to know that they had stuff done to their face. Now we're very open about it. We do have that increase in younger demographics. And we have increase in services that are requiring downtime, which also kind of pertains to the maybe more medical side of the beauty industry and the aesthetic industry, such as peels, or maybe it's microneedling or injectables, where consumers can go get treatments and then they can go work from home, or they can go out in public with a mask and they can cover up any bruising or swelling or healing that they have. So what were the reasons behind the unexpected aesthetic boom that we all actually kind of experienced as an industry coming out of those 2020 shutdowns? There were multiple reasons behind that, of the first being pent-up demand. People were ready to get back out there, get back into their regular beauty routines. I know as soon as the restrictions were lifted in my state, I'm in Florida, I was at my hairstylist getting my hair done, I was getting my nails done, I was due for my Botox, whatever it may be. People were ready to get back to their routine beauty treatments, discreet downtime and masks, as I kind of already touched on. So people can go get treatments done and they can go work from home, since a lot of us are still working remotely and they don't have to go into a workplace where they have to describe to their 50 colleagues and friends in the workplace why they have a bruise on their face or whatever it may be. Reallocation of disposable income. This is also playing a big factor in the spike in consumer demand. So people aren't necessarily doing as much social activities as maybe they used to back in, let's say, 2019. So they aren't taking a lot of vacations. Maybe they aren't going out to restaurants a lot, whatever it may be. So they have those extra dollars that they can choose to go spend on aesthetic or beauty treatments and services. And then fourth, we have the Zoom boom. This is my personal favorite. I think we've all lived through this new virtual Zoom era that kind of took us all for a spin back in, I guess it's probably been about a year ago at this point now, where we are spending so much time doing webinars or Zoom classes, or we're getting our CME credits at an online virtual conference. And we are spending so much time staring at our own faces over webinars or Zoom that we cannot help but just scrutinize every little thing, every little wrinkle on our face. And I know I was guilty of it at first, but kind of going back to when the Zoom era started, you could be on a meeting with 15 other people on Zoom, and for some reason your eyes just gravitate towards your own face. You instead of looking at the webcam, which I've taught myself to do now, you would just start staring at your own face. So people were just scrutinizing every little wrinkle or hyperpigmentation or brown spots on their face, whatever it may be. So quick look inside the aesthetic industry, $12 billion global industry. Market penetration is still extremely low, which means there is so much room for growth. I hear a lot of time, and I do a lot of speaking around the industry. I do a lot of conferences. Obviously, that's kind of turned virtual right now. But something I've always kind of heard is that people continually say that the aesthetics market is saturated. It's a saturated industry. While in reality, it's actually not saturated, because there is so much room for growth. So welcome to the social patient, or we could also say the social client, the modern social consumer. In today's day and age, they encompass lower attention spans, higher expectations, and they are extremely digitally connected. So what is the most important part of a successful marketing strategy? It's actually you. It's not your social media. It's not your website. It's not your SEO. While all of those things play equal importance, it always starts and ends with you. So if you are the one responsible for the growth of your practice, or if you are the one responsible for the growth of your spa, it's 100% your leadership. It's the way that you lead and manage your people. If you are the one responsible for the growth and success of your practice or your spa, it's your priority. So what is the vision of your practice? What is the vision of your medical spa? Your people, your staff, their processes in place within the business, and then the tools, technology, and software that you choose to use. And the most recent statistic actually is around, I think it's 83% now of consumers. I would argue that it's much higher. Around 83% of consumers begin their searches online for aesthetic and beauty treatments. So let's say, okay, 80%. So if we can all agree that 80% of consumers begin their searches on the internet, my question to you would be, well, then are you spending at least 80% of your time, energy, effort, budget, creative thoughtsmanship on actually implementing strategies to attract and capture these consumers where they're hanging out, which is where? It's the internet, right? And most importantly, it's understanding your big why. I think that this is what practice owners and spa owners struggle with the most, is they go into business, they decide they want to hang a shingle up, open up a med spa, whatever it may be, and they just expect that people are going to come to them. They just expect that people are going to choose their practice over the spa down the road that maybe has cheaper prices than you, but maybe has less experienced providers or less experienced injectors. You really need to understand what the why is. So what is your MO behind this? Why is your practice the absolute best practice at loving and serving patients and clients? And why should people come to you? And so I kind of just want everyone to think about this. So whether you're in the early stages of your career, maybe you already work in a practice, you own a spa, whatever it may be, is it always truly comes back to the why. So in 1 to 2 sentences, you should be able to delineate word for word why people should come to your practice or your spa. And most importantly, everyone else in the practice or in the spa needs to be able to delineate that exact same why. So in other words, do you have a unique selling proposition or a unique brand that's going to differentiate your business from all the other ones out there that essentially do the exact same things you do? So in this industry, meaning that it's elective, the beauty industry, the aesthetic industry, it's an elective industry. The word elective means that the consumer has a what? They have a choice, right? They have a choice to go to you for their microblading or their Botox or their microneedling. They have a choice to go to the practice down the road or the spa down the road, or they have the choice to spend their money on something completely unrelated because we are offering cash-based services, right? So in this industry, there's actually only 2 ways that you can acquire a new patient or a new client. The first is you have a new entrance into the market, which means they've never done any type of aesthetic treatment or procedure in their life, and you capture them before your competition captures them. And the second way is you actually steal them. So you steal them from the spa down the road or another practice in your local market. And if someone is thinking of leaving their current provider, where do you think that they are most likely going to go research to find a new one? It's going to be the internet, right? So other competition and barriers of entry. So while we are competing in the industry with other local med spas, other practices in our local market, we also need to understand that we're competing with other things that cost money, right? People don't need to go get an aesthetic treatment. They don't need to go get Botox. They don't need to go get their eyebrows microbladed. It's something that they want, right? And there's emotional drivers behind that, which we'll kind of unpack a little later on. So, they can essentially choose to set aside that money for a beauty treatment, or they can put that money aside towards car or clothes or travel, entertainment, savings. So it's very critical to understand and have effective training protocols in your practice to ensure that you and your staff understand how to sell value versus price, right? There's huge difference between the two. And it always comes back to belief at the end of the day. In any talk I give, in any webinar I give, I always like to talk about belief because that's truly what's going to make or break anything you do as it relates to your business. Honestly, as it relates to anything you do in life, right? It always starts and ends with belief. So do you believe that if you put, as it relates to today's presentation, do you believe that if you put a dedicated 110% effort into your medical spa's marketing strategy, that you would get more patients, more clients, and make more revenue? Because if you believe it, you can do it. If you don't believe it, then you might as well probably forget about everything I'm going to be talking about today, right? Because it truly starts and ends with that universal culture of belief. So here we have the modern marketing ecosystem in beauty and aesthetic medicine. So you have, if you own a practice, if you own a spa, if you own a med spa, there's simply just 4 things that you need to do every single day when you wake up and go to work at 8 a.m. in the morning. You need to attract, so you need to increase the quality and quantity of new potential clients to your practice or your spa. You need to convert them into actual paying clients, into actual paying patients, this is where 100% the most amount of money is lost. You need to treat them, so providing that world-class experience. We are in a very experience-driven industry. We are in a very customer relationship-driven industry. We shouldn't be treating patients like transactions or clients like transactions. Insurance is not a part of the picture. People are choosing to come to you. They don't have to come to you. And then most importantly, we do need to retain them. The majority of your business revenue is going to come from repeat clients and not new clients, right? So marketing to the modern aesthetic consumer. So if, a little over 80% of searches begin on the internet, what specific outlet would you say most consumers are probably going to pop up on their phone to start researching, treatment XYZ online? It's going to be Google, right? So $1 million question. And I'm going to essentially certify all you guys on SEO, search engine optimization right now. It's a very simple process. And it's a very simple tactic. I think people overcomplicate it a lot of the time. So here's the $1 million question. Could you sit down right now and identify the top 3 to 5 or up to 10 revenue driving treatments and procedures that drive your practice revenue, that drive your spa revenue? Have you researched and defined the keywords used by online consumers to search for these specific treatments or procedures on Google? So in other words, something we need to think about is what would the average person, the average potential client, the average consumer, what would they type into Google to find your med spa, let's say? So something we need to keep in mind is we really want to limit the medical vernacular or technical vernacular, whatever it may be. So for instance, very few consumers would type into Google, let's say, if we're going to talk about fillers, let's say fillers, Restylane Lift Orlando. But they would type in, let's say, cheek filler, or maybe, lip filler, or if it's microneedling, instead of trying to optimize the Skin Pen Orlando, Florida, you optimize microneedling, right? Because we need to understand that the majority of consumers are not going to search by devices used or the medical brand name or the brand name of whatever treatment you're providing. So website and SEO, converting clients on your site, converting patients on your site. Let's say someone typed in treatment XYZ near me, they find your practice, they pop over to your website. Well, now you still haven't made any money yet, right? You need to convert this visitor, this potential client, into either a form or a phone call to your practice, right? To your med spa. So your website needs to be 100% mobile responsive. I'm sure most of us are fully aware of what this means. But in other words, your website needs to just perform great on whatever device it's being looked at on. Conversion is the primary objective. You want to have prominent display of forms and phone numbers on your website. And I'm not just talking about on the homepage. It needs to be on every single interior page of your practice's website. Before and after galleries are huge. We are in a visual business, right? Beauty, aesthetics, it's very visual. They should be of your actual patients that you've treated. I still see we have a ton of clients who still do this when they become, or newer clients who sign on with us. We see it all the time. We're revamping their site. We're building them out a new site, and they're using before and after photos of patients that they didn't even treat. They're just essentially the photos that they got from their laser manufacturer, vendor, or whoever it may be. That's not going to resonate well with consumers who are looking at your practice, who are interested in the services that your med spa offers. You want to make sure that it's your actual patients you've treated. Video is so powerful, especially as it relates to millennials, as it relates to, we have Gen Z, which is going to eventually become a demographic with a lot of purchasing power as well. So for instance, maybe you get up and film your own video that talks about your unique approach to the application of the facials you offer in your practice, the injectables, microneedling, microblading, whatever it may be. It's going to resonate a lot better than using a generic video on your site. And then you do want to be answering all the most common frequently asked questions. So on your landing pages on your site, for whatever treatment you're offering, you should just be mindful that you should be answering the what is it, what does it solve for, is the person reading a good candidate? Is there downtime? If there is downtime, describe what that downtime is. And then most importantly, how do they actually contact your practice to come in for a consultation or to come in for an appointment? Blogging is a key driver. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on blogging today, but other To kind of just talk about blogging at a very high level, blogging is a key driver in any successful SEO strategy. So you just want to be blogging off whatever your top revenue driving treatments and procedures in the practice are. So for instance, this is a med spa, Radiant Divine Medical Spa. They have about 3 locations in the Cleveland, Ohio area. They have laser hair removals, one of their top revenue driving treatments for getting people in the practice, so as first-time patients, and then from there they kind of put them on treatment plans or membership programs, vampire facelift, all therapy, and microneedling as well. Social media, I could probably talk for 2 hours on social media. For the sake of time, I just kind of wanted to cover some 6 top points. Key is always going to be consistency and frequency. If you're going to sit down with your staff, you're going to sit down with your team and map out a 6-month killer social media strategy, and you guys do everything that you said you were going to do with your content calendar and all the video content and before and afters and testimonials, and you kill it on social media for 6 months, but then it slowly falls off the list of your practice's priorities and you just stop doing it. Doing nothing would have been the same. You need to stay consistent. You need to stay frequent. You always want to evaluate your target market. So what type of patient, what type of client are you trying to attract? Consider what treatments will drive demand and revenue. Maybe your target market is millennials. Reaching a millennial is going to be very different than marketing to a baby boomer or even Gen X. Avoid comparative living. This is so common in the beauty aesthetic industry, as we see all of these beauty and aesthetic celebrities on Instagram with tens of thousands of followers. And, we're over here with maybe a couple hundred. We're just starting out our practice. We're starting up our med spa, and we keep comparing ourselves to that. Nobody starts at the top. Everyone starts somewhere. So I just think it's a key piece of advice I like sharing with people, especially in this industry, is avoid comparative living. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Just kind of focus on what's going to drive your practice or your spa. The power of video, you want to include video, before and afters, client testimonials as well. The riches are definitely in the niches. Don't try to be everything to everyone, I would say. Some other quick examples. So Radiant Divine Medical Spa, they do a great job at posting engaging, conversion-driven, and educational content on their Instagram. If anyone wants to kind of check out a med spa that's doing everything right as it relates to social media, their IG handles Radiant Divine Medical Spa. So some simple examples, they have a lot of educational posts. So difference between pharmaceutical or medical grade skincare products versus cosmetic, huge difference between the two. When should I start getting Botox? They target millennials. Millennials are coming in droves as it relates to preventative aging. Prejuvenation instead of rejuvenation, kind of nipping aging in the butt early, getting that preventative Botox on their forehead, whatever it may be, taking care of their skin. Photos of your staff, your team, videos talking about, some treatments you offer in the practice. So for instance, their suite of fillers, new client specials to get people in. And then from there, you can obviously cross-sell and upsell other complementary treatments and procedures. So the next $1 million question, if you could gather 2 pieces of information from a prospect or existing client, I would say, what would it be? It's going to be primary valid email addresses and mobile numbers. Email is so powerful in today's industry because your database is truly one of your most powerful tools. So let's just go back to 2020 when a lot of us had to shut our doors. If you didn't have a bulletproof database of contact information for your prospects and patients, how are you going to communicate with all of these people while your doors were shut, right? So the businesses and the practices and the med spas who came out of the shutdowns thriving, there was one common thread that they all had, and we do a ton of case studies with our clients at Crystal Clear and Patient Now, which was effective patient communication. So you want to have processes in place over the phone as well as on your site to actually collect that contact information. So now when it comes to converting the potential client, the potential consumer, this is definitely where the most amount of money is lost. So let's say I type in microneedling near me, I find a provider, I go to your practice's website, I go to your social media, I look at your before and afters, your reviews, and I'm super pumped up about microneedling. I'm going to call your practice and let's say I'm interested in getting a consult. So if I'm calling your practice, do you think it should matter who answers the phone? And I used to ask this question all the time when back before, I guess the shutdowns, when I was actually doing conference speaking face-to-face, is I would ask this question all the time. So, a show of hands, how many people think it should matter who answers the phone in your spa? And the majority of people would say, yes, it matters who answers the phone. While in reality, it actually shouldn't matter who answers the phone, and here's why. Everyone in your spa, everyone in your practice needs to be doing and saying the same things over the phone, period. Because if you have one person answering the phone going, hello, it's a beautiful day at Rejuvenate Med Spa. This is Audrey. How can I help you? And then you have another person answering the phone going, hi, can you please hold? Or medical spa. That's a problem, right? So we need to create the script for how we're going to answer the phones. And then we need to create the script for how we're going to answer the most common FAQs about all of our revenue driving treatments and procedures, right? And then once we actually create that script, we need to stick to it. We only want to change and enhance our phone scripts based on facts, not feelings, and most importantly, get results. So paying patients. All right, I'm getting a couple, really quickly, I'm getting a couple messages in saying you guys cannot hear me. Can you guys, so if everyone on today's webinar, if you can hear me, if you can maybe just type yes in the chat box. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. It looks like we had someone who had mentioned that they lost audio. Okay, looks like we're good to go now. So quick stats around conversion. So do you know practices only follow up with half the leads? Only 10% of practices even report to track their leads, only 10% of med spas specifically. And how much can one lost opportunity actually cost your practice? Which is why it is so critical to leverage some type of CRM software. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. Anyone who owns a spa, anyone who owns a med spa or an aesthetic clinic, you need to 100% be leveraging some type of CRM. Honestly, this goes for any business in the world. At Crystal Clear and Patient Now, we utilize CRM. The beauty of software like this is that it will help you automate patient or client communication, nurture your incoming leads who maybe haven't booked a treatment yet or haven't booked a consult yet. Are they going to get remarketing messages to them, eventually converting them to the next conversion step? Nurture existing patients. So maybe it's cross-selling and upselling other complementary treatments in your business. Resurrect lost patients. What's going on with clients who or potential clients who reached out to your business 30 days ago, 60 days ago, 90 days ago. There is so much money lost in the follow-up. It'll help track critical KPIs, so key performance indicators, and help you manage potential patient revenue. And everything we do as it relates to our marketing, it needs to be driven by data, performance data. So how many unique visits did I get to my website last month? How many of those visitors converted into online forms or phone calls? How many of those online forms and phone calls scheduled a consult or an appointment? How many showed up, got their treatment, and actually handed us money? And then most importantly, what did we actually spend to generate those paying clients? So what was our marketing ROI last month, right? That's data. And that is the only way to measure your marketing based on facts and not feelings, because there is a critical difference between both of those, facts versus feelings. Which is why it is so critical to also sell perceived value. If you get someone in your practice, we need to understand, or your spa, we need to understand how to sell value versus price. So what is perceived value? So the customer perceived benefit. So if they get, let's go back to my earlier example. If I get microneedling, let's say maybe I have some acne scars or some skin concerns, whatever it may be. If I get a series of 5 microneedling treatments, my skin's going to look so much better. I'm going to feel so much more confident and beautiful. And because of that, I'm going to perform better at work and all of these other emotional drivers and emotional feelings. So that benefit minus the cost, okay, whatever the cost of microneedling is the customer perceived value, right? So very critical that we're mindful of this, very critical that we are training our team members that they're doing this both over the phone and then on site in our spa as well. Marketing to the existing patient, AKA retention or existing client. The majority of your practice revenue will come from repeat business, not new business. It's so much more expensive to acquire a new client than it is to retain an existing one. So we just want to be mindful of that and ensure that we have strategies in place to retain all of the clients in our practice because they are the lowest hanging fruit, right? So specials and promotions, very effective. Maybe you do one, and I highly encourage some type of special and promotion. It doesn't even necessarily mean to be a discount. I would come up with some type of creative thing at least once a month in your practice. Membership programs, VIP programs, loyalty rewards. Repeat customers will spend 2 to 6 times more than a first-time customer. So, and there was actually a case study done. It was probably about 2 years ago. It was of a med spa, and it was taken of, I believe it was 250 patients in their membership program versus 250 patients who are not. The results were, after the end of 12 months, the patients and the clients who were in the med spa's membership program spent 3 times the amount of money as those who were not. So whether you're a salon or a spa, I would highly encourage you to come up with some type of, whether it's a monthly membership program, maybe they pay $100 a month. Even Dry Bar, they have a great membership program where you pay like $85 a month or whatever, and you get 4 blowouts per month. So it's very relevant as it relates to salons, as it relates to spas, med spas. Maybe it's a monthly fee, maybe it's an annual fee. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about this. You do want to leverage email and text for treatment reminders. So Botox, let's say every 90 days, people come in and get their Botox. Are they getting automation every 90 days saying, hey, Audrey, it's been 90 days since your last Botox treatment. We know that you're due. Call us today to schedule your appointment. Just little things like this. But now I kind of want to come back to that modern marketing and sales ecosystem we talked about, because everything that we kind of unpacked today as it relates to digital marketing, as it relates to Google and SEO and your website and social media and email marketing, at the end of the day, it truly doesn't mean anything if it's not backed by that world-class client experience, if it's not backed by training and practicing together as a team, and if it's not backed by essentially having that unique selling proposition, right? So really quick here before we wind down, what does it actually take to build a world-class service and sales culture in your spa, in your practice? Essentially, there's 10 steps, and we'll kind of go through these really quickly. I know we have about 5 minutes here left. So first and foremost, and I kind of touched on this at the beginning, it does start with strong leadership. Someone needs to be responsible for growth, whether it's the practice manager or the spa manager or someone else. What are the stated goals in the business, and who is responsible to make sure that those goals are hit every single month? A drink the Kool-Aid moment and cultural buy-in from everyone. This is where everyone gets on board with what you're trying to accomplish as a business. And while this might seem kind of corny, the reality is, if you have a culture of hoarding skills and not sharing success, I would say you're always going to be as small as that. So to truly grow and get scale in your business, in your practice, in your spa, you need to surround yourself with those great, amazing people who can contribute to your business in terms of revenue. And the most challenging thing is, how do you actually get all of your team members to believe in your why? So to actually truly believe in your unique brand. And another question I ask all the time is, okay, let's say I'm talking to everyone who's on today's webinar. A lot of times when I was doing a lot of conference speaking on the road, I would say, okay, how many people in the room right now think that your business, your spa, has unique brand? Everyone's hands always go up. Everyone thinks they have to have a unique brand. So the $1 billion question would be, okay, so if you think you have a unique brand, let me ask you this. If I were to come into your medical spa today, let's say, and take every single staff member, whether it's 5 or 50, into a separate room and ask them each individually, what is your practice's unique selling proposition, or what is your brand? Would they all say the exact same thing? And if you're thinking no, then I would probably say, you know what, you're right. Your brand is unique because you're the only one who knows what your brand is. Training and practicing together is essential. Clear and consistent documented care and sales processes that everyone follows without exception, otherwise known as foreign scripts. Treat your staff. They are your best salespeople. Treat your staff, treat your staff, treat your staff. They are the ones that are going to be answering the phones and probably most likely converting those incoming inquiries into treatments and consultations. Monitor and measure the numbers, make adjustments to grow them. if you start out in the beginning of 2020 or 2021, I guess I should say, and you say, okay, as a team, we want to do $1 million in revenue this year. Well, the first thing you need to be measuring is, where were we after January 2021? Where were we after, February 2021? Where were we after Q1? Where are we headed? What did we miss? And then kind of adjusting accordingly. Accountability to the plan, passion for results-based care, an understanding and internalization of the business goals, and a willingness of every single team member to believe in your why, convert into paying clients and paying patients, and ultimately create a customer for life. So really quickly, and then I promise we will be just about done here. So now going back, is everything I just talked about, is the juice worth the squeeze? So quick look at an average business versus a great business. This was a med spa case study done probably 2 years ago. So practice A receives 100 inbound phone calls and forms, 40 of which are new opportunities. Their people are converting at 25% over the phone. So average treatment revenue, it was $1,000. This was a med spa, so it was probably, Botox and filler, whatever it may be. And monthly treatment revenue, 10K, annual treatment revenue, 120. Not so bad, right? But now practice B down the road, same amount of inbound opportunities, but there are people with the internal management, leadership, phone scripts, belief, and culture. Their people are converting at 45%. So they acquire 18 new clients, make same treatment, monthly treatment revenue, 18K, annual treatment revenue for this specific med spa, $216,000. So essentially double than practice A right down the road. And this always boils down to facts versus feelings, because there's a difference between saying, I feel like my people are great on the phone, or I feel like my people are amazing, versus I actually know my people are amazing, right? Which would be exhibited in practice B. So what type of practice or spa do you want to be? What do you need to do? And when would be a good time to start? And it always comes back to belief, right? Because you can do it. Regardless of what stage of your career you're in, everyone can do it. It really doesn't matter what I believe, though, at the end of the day. It really only matters what you believe. So that pretty much concludes today's webinar. Hopefully you guys got at least something out of it. I know we're going to open it up for questions. So once again, just thank you. Very grateful to be here, and I will turn it back over to you, Linda.
Thank you so much, Audrey. That was amazing. Anybody that knows me in business knows that marketing is my thing. So I completely appreciate that entire presentation. Thank you so much. So I know we're kind of getting towards the end with timing, and I do have a couple of questions that came in. And the first question, Audrey, is for you. And they just wanted to know, could you repeat what the CRM is and exactly how and why it's used in the practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to CRM, so CRM, it stands for Customer Relationship Management Software. Or you could also, if you're on the medical side, I like to call it Patient Relationship Management Software. So the big reasoning behind why every single, honestly, small business, any business in the world, in other vertical CRM is very common. Very few businesses run their day-to-day without using CRM. I think in the beauty and aesthetic industries, it's still somewhat of a new concept. But the beauty of CRM is that it will actually help you measure, manage, track all incoming leads and opportunities into your business in real time. It'll help you automate communication to them, deploy remarketing campaigns to those potential patients. So maybe let's say it's 9 p.m. on a Saturday, someone reaches out to your spa. No one's there in the practice to answer. Are they going to get some type of marketing message back that's going to eventually convert them into calling back your practice to book a consultation or an appointment? It'll also help you resurrect those lost opportunities. Maybe it was 30, 60, 90 days ago, who maybe didn't follow up with your practice, who didn't book a consult, who didn't book an appointment. There's so much money lost in not managing leads. Going back to the statistic I shared, I believe it was around 10% of med spas even track their leads, which is mind-blowing to me. Even at Crystal Clear, we know every single lead that comes into our business. We know where they're at in their decision-making process. We know what that opportunity is worth in dollars. That same concept applies to any spa, any business. and any med spa, I should say.
Thank you so much. I know for us at New York Institute of Beauty, we would not function without our CRM system.
Mhm.
So it's just such a huge part of day-to-day
It
operation.
is. Yep.
The next question actually is for you, Angelica, and it looks like it's probably from somebody that owns a smaller business.
Sure.
And the question is it worth it for a small business like a salon or a spa to actually invest in that CRM? So I guess the question is if you're like a single operator, or if you're only have 2 or 3 skincare therapists, is there value in operating that CRM? And I guess my guess is that since you're the operating.
I know a thing or two about a good CRM. I'll tell you that for sure. I think that that's a really powerful question. Like you, we can't operate without one. I think sometimes people forget that half of our jobs, 75% of the journey is we call it catching the fish, right? So if you don't have the capacity to catch your fish and then keep them organized and know how to utilize them, when to utilize them, you've lost half the battle. We do a lot of coaching within our organization. I'm proud to say that about 25% of our employees within Cairns and Canoe are those team members that are 100K plus a year. They're bringing home an amazing paycheck. And this is not just for small ownership. If you don't know your data, even if you're a technician in the room, you're set up just for no-go from the beginning. So data is such a powerful conversation that we're starting to have within the beauty industry that I think we should have been having for a very long time. But this is also why we're seeing our industry growing in such leaps and bounds, because guess what? All of a sudden, we care about the same thing that Apple does. A successful business they have the same formula 100% of the time.
Yep.
Do you know your data? What does your culture feel like? And you better have a damn good technical skill. It is that simple. So most of us are sitting there and could probably deliver a really great technical skill. Most of us, because we're now in this world of social media, marketing diversification, we kind of know what our culture is supposed to feel like when our client walks through the door, but we're not utilizing that fact, which was so powerful. Audrey, you unpacked so much in such a short amount of time. It's kind of like you stole my business formula right out of my drive, But really, if you're not placing as much focus right now on your data as you are in creating an amazing technical experience, along with an amazing cultural experience, your house will never hold.
Yep.
So if you're going to invest anywhere at the moment, it better be in organizing your fishes and communicating with them. Because the moment you capture them, we can fatten them. That is through some of those items that Audrey was saying, through that great customer care, and how you now retain this client, retain them and keep growing that experience with them. Within Cairns and Canoes, how do we create fandom, right? We're not about retaining clients. We are about retaining fandom. That is what our industry is about. Is your client a 100% fan of you? Not the company you work for, not the brand you work for. Are they a fan of you? So this conversation about should I have a CRM? It's not only for all of us who are business owners and CEOs and operators. This is also something that our little seeds, the ones that are sitting at NYIB right now, that are thinking to go into the industry. How are you organizing your data when you're in clinic? If you can afford a CRM, get a CRM. But if you can't, you better find a way to go ahead and start organizing all of that data, know your data, and be really progressive with it. And again, like Audrey was saying, that marketing diversification. If you're sitting here and you're one of these brands that says, I have an amazing online presence on Instagram, that is not enough. Because what we know about marketing is marketing bubbles pop all the time. So if you've got all of your little eggs in this one basket, start diversifying it. Go into Yelp. Get yourself into these amazing CRM programs where you can start reaching out to your client via email, where you can start creating these loyalty programs. So we all know how much I love to talk, Linda, but in short answering, yes, a CRM matters, data matters. Data is the most important part of what breeds success with our industry. I've not yet to meet a 100K hairdresser or a 100K esthetician that does not understand the value of data.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Angelica.
Yeah.
And this kind of follows up with what you were saying, Angelica. It looks like this question is probably coming from a med spa that's currently open in the industry. And they're saying the hardest part about ensuring your marketing is generating the highest return. We do a lot of marketing, but we're not seeing the consultation conversions we want. And I think, Audrey, that's probably a good question for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the biggest hurdle when it comes to marketing, and I guess I want to preface this with this. So there's something that we call profound knowledge. In other words, what you know in advance, you plan for in advance. So if you know that you're going to spend a couple grand a month, let's say you're a med spa, maybe you're spending $3,000 a month on your online marketing strategy. If you know that you're going to be spending $3,000 a month on marketing, are you already prepared internally in your practice, internally with your staff members, with their phone scripts, with your CRM? Are you prepared to actually convert those opportunities that are going to be coming in your practice from that $3,000 that you're spending in marketing? You can honestly spend $50,000 in marketing, but if you have broken people with broken processes and broken technology, or you're not even leveraging technology, or you're not tracking your data, all that money you're spending essentially is just I guess I would say, throwing it down the black hole of, let's say it's Google AdWords or whatever it may be. So what you know in advance, you plan for it in advance. The first area practices, med spas in particular, lose the most amount of money is definitely that first initial phone call. I mystery shop med spas very often. I typically call, I'll choose 5 med spas in a local market. Cities will vary. And I'll pretend to be a first-time Botox user. And you would not believe the horror stories I have of what people say over the phone. And it's very alarming to me, because that potential patient, that potential client who you just paid via your marketing dollars to generate as an opportunity, they could be worth so much more money than just that one treatment, right? So in the medical spa realm, a Botox patient is not just going to be worth that $500 Botox treatment. They're going to come, if you do a great job culturally in the practice, they're going to come to your practice for every single 90 days from then on, thereforth, right? Because very few people, I'll say women in this situation, are going to go get Botox for the first time and then never get it again, right? That usually is probably not going to happen. We see the lines go away in our forehead. We're amazed. We're going to continue doing it. And then Botox for that med spa, let's say, could actually turn into a treatment plan of fillers, laser treatments, microdermabrasion, and facials. And so if you do a good job actually retaining that one opportunity that maybe came in just for a Botox consultation for, a span of 10 years, let's say, that could be upwards of, $20,000 that you may have just essentially lost just from that first initial phone call. So I think it really boils down to having bulletproof phone scripts. I think it boils down to having the CRM system so that you're actually tracking, you're actually measuring, you're actually managing all of the data. So honestly, your phone scripts, your people, the training, and the tools and technology, which includes CRM, that's really what's going to make or break all the marketing dollars that your med spa would be spending on a monthly basis.
Thank you. We have time for one last question, and I'm going to say that this question most likely is coming from somebody that's currently in the industry. And it's a pretty simple question. Does Crystal Clear offer the things that we're talking about today? So Audrey, that would be for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, in full disclosure, kind of everything I talked about today, Crystal Clear does offer as a service. So As I mentioned earlier, Crystal Clear and Patient Now together, we work with around 1,500 elective medical clinics, aesthetic practices, med spas. We do have day spas as clients as well. We manage everything from their marketing strategies. And then we do have our own proprietary aesthetic specific CRM tool. So it's industry specific. It's not used by other verticals, only the beauty and aesthetic industry. So we do everything on the marketing side, the CRM side, and then for the more clinical side, if you're a medical spa or, we work with a lot of plastic surgeons as well. We do have a full-fledged practice management solution as well.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So I think we're pretty much wrapped up now. It's just about 2:00. If anybody has further questions that we couldn't get to, because I have a few more here that we just couldn't get to, you can email us at info@nyib.edu, and we'll absolutely get right back to you with any of your questions. Thank you so much, Ms. Angelica Matsea, for back and spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it was our pleasure. And thanks so much, Audrey. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. And I'm sure everybody else did as well. Anybody that's on now, stay tuned. We are going to be doing some more business and marketing presentations. And if anybody has any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us at info@nyib.edu. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Linda. And Audrey, thank you so much for what you're doing for our industry. It's incredible just to be able to sit and have these powerful conversations in creating incredible entrepreneurs. So go make that first million, team.
Thank you, Angelica. And thank you so much, Linda. And thank you to everyone who attended. Much appreciated.
Thanks.